Erik Horne with Maddie Lee after the Thunder's 115-105 loss to the Denver Nuggets. Maddie, another loss for the Thunder. There's some positives, some negatives, but the biggest thing you can take from it is the Denver Nuggets are a better team than the Thunder. They played better than them all season. There's a reason that Denver's competing for the #1 seed in the Western Conference, and there's a reason that Denver has been able to separate from the Thunder at games at every juncture this season. 4-0 sweep for Denver for the season. Thunder drops temporarily for the night back to 8th place in the Western Conference. Denver, on the other hand, competing with Golden State for the #1 seed.
Yeah, like you just mentioned, with those standings, it's actually could be a first-round matchup here, and so not a great sign for the Thunder that they, in 4 games, have not been able to finish them strong. They've cut the Nuggets' lead to 2 possessions within that last 3 minutes and still have not been able to pull it out, and that happened again tonight.
Yeah, there's a certain discipline that I think the Nuggets have that the Thunder doesn't, and also the fact that the Nuggets just flat out have better players. The Nuggets shot 40% from 3 tonight, made some key 3-pointers in the last 4 minutes to separate from the Thunder. They're able to get the Thunder in a lot of defensive situations that compromise the Thunder's defense. You know, Billy Donovan talked about they didn't switch a lot tonight, but the times that they did switch, they're able to get Steven Adams on a little fadeaway. Jamal Murray hits that over him consistently in the mid-range. You know, the Thunder can talk as much as they want about, you know, making teams take the shots that they want them to take, but you know, every once in a while, these good teams, San Antonio, you know, Sacramento, who's a solid team, the Nuggets tonight, they make those shots in the mid-range because they're really talented players. And, you know, even when the Thunder doesn't switch, you know, Murray, who had 27 points tonight, he's able to get those shots over Dennis Schroeder. Nikola Jokic dominates his matchup against Steven Adams once again. Adams doesn't get a rebound until minute 38 left in the second quarter. So there's just some matchups that are really bad for the Thunder against the Nuggets, and the Nuggets just have personnel that puts the Thunder in really precarious situations to where the Thunder has to be almost perfect defensively, and that's just not going to happen.
On the positive side, Thunder was able to keep this one close, which, you know, in this stretch, this horrible stretch that they've had since the All-Star break, not necessarily given, but they have gotten up for good teams, especially Western Conference teams that are going to be in the playoffs. So you had chunks of good offensive performances from Steven Adams in the second quarter, from Paul George in the fourth. He was questionable up until right before the game, ends up starting and playing and said he felt fine, but he really didn't get his shot going until that fourth quarter.
Yeah, and George is kind of, you know, masking some of the stuff that he's been having to deal with throughout the entire season. He says he feels fine, but he obviously wasn't fine if he was questionable going into tonight's game. He struggled in the in-between quarters. I think he went 3 of 11 from the field in the second and third quarter, had good shooting performances in the first and the fourth. You know, Russell Westbrook had a pretty solid offensive game in terms of his shooting percentages. He was a triple-double. I mean, he was a rebound and an assist shy of a triple-double and really did a good job of finding guys for looks. But, you know, you get an opportunity within the last 90 seconds to get the game closer, and he takes another bad 3. You know, there's just some kind of fundamental things that aren't right with the Thunder, and it starts with some decision making. It starts with, you know, guys just not being able to be the shot makers that other teams have, and it's going to be really difficult for the Thunder whether they get Denver or anybody in a first-round series because of those fundamental issues that they have. Another positive for the Thunder, they didn't foul Denver very much this time. They had a real, that was a real trouble spot for them against Denver, particularly late in games. I think they put the Nuggets to the line like 16 times in the first 3 games in the last 3 minutes. I don't know if they put the Nuggets to the line 16 times all night tonight. They only put them to the line 6 times, but Nuggets are better. Is that a good way to wrap up the video? It is. Here's some post-game video from, who do we have? Paul George. Anybody else?
That's all I got.
They got up pretty quickly tonight. We're just going to go with Paul George.